Hello and welcome back to my channel. Thanks for stopping by. My name is Heather Lundy and I am a stylist slash reseller. I have been in the fashion industry for over 20 years as a stylist, from photoing to fashion show production, from Dallas to New York. And now I am using my knowledge from that industry in my reselling industry. So on this channel, you will find tips and tricks about the reselling industry, as well as fashion advice and all those things. So if that sounds like something that will toot your horn, then stay around and ring the bell if you want. You don't have to, it's okay. But you can find me at Poshmark, eBay, and Tradesy under Her Common Thread. And on Instagram as well under Her Common Thread, and I have a website as well with my styling stuff on it if you want to check that out. So let's get into the video. Today's video is my top 10 tips, and you can apply these whether you're a brand new reseller. I say that a lot, like I'm gonna be sailing away. Reseller. If you are a brand new or not, then you can kind of apply some of these tips to your life and see if they work for you or not. So my first tip is going to be start in your own closet and around your house with what you have. Don't go out and buy a bunch of stuff and get into debt. Never get into debt. It's a bad thing. Just start with what you have. Go through your closet, Marie Kondo that thing, get rid of things that you've not worn in forever, or things that you don't like anymore, or things that don't fit you anymore. And start by selling those, and pick one platform and kind of figure it out. Poshmark is pretty easy to get started. The listing is a pretty easy process. It does require a little bit more work than other platforms, because you have to constantly go back and share your items to bring them up at the top of search. But start your closet, take the profits from that, and then if you decide that you even like the process at all after that, then you can start kind of investing some of that money you already made back into your business. That's my number one tip. Number two, from the get-go, establish an inventory tracking system. I cannot stress this enough, how important this will be for your taxes, for just being able to track what you're selling, the data, so that it will help you out in your business later. So whether that's a spreadsheet or some kind of a program or something, you need to keep track of your inventory, how much you're spending, how much you're making. I even do things like the size that I'm selling, the color that I'm selling, you know, how many days was it listed before it sold. I'm trying to get into also how many days it was relisted once it was, or how many days it was relisted once it sold after being relisted. So all those sorts of things, keep track of that. And kind of along with that, try to set up a separate bank account, because once that money comes into your regular bank account, it kind of all starts getting mixed up. So from the get-go, I had two separate bank accounts, and I can see exactly what I'm making, exactly what I'm spending, and it's not coming out of my other bank account. So that was a huge help to me. And then also in line, tip number 3, establish a storage system from the get-go. I did not. I just kind of kept hanging things up, and then it took me like 3 weeks to finally get everything packaged and in bins and, you know, tracked so that I could find it easily. I had my own kind of system in my head, but now if I go out of town or something, my husband can easily find if I've sold something and ship it off for me. And all I do is I have the rolling bins, and each drawer, I just alphabetize my listings, because I feel like having to keep track of a number system, that's just another step involved in the process, where I have to, okay, now this is this number, now I got to put it into the listing, and then I've got to write it on a label and stick it on the thing, and if I just keep it in an alphabetical order, it actually works really, really well for me by the label. So number 4, YouTubers, me included. Listen and don't listen, because as far as finding once you decide that you want to start sourcing on your own brands, all of that, all of that kinds of stuff. What works for one person doesn't always work for another. I remember when I started, I was listening to a few resellers, and they would talk about how well this one particular style or brand did, and then I bought those up, and they just sat for me, and they did not sell. And these people were able to sell them for quite a chunk of profit, and I would be lucky if I could sell it for $10. So, listen and study brands and be in the know, but don't go out and buy a bunch of stuff just based on what a YouTuber has told you to buy. Number 5, make mistakes. The best way you learn is by making a mistake. And I made tons of those. I buy things that I thought would be okay, and then they're not. And then I know not to buy those again. Or, make mistakes and take a risk. Take a risk on one thing every now and then and see how it does. It's a pretty low cost of investment to begin with. And just don't be afraid to make those mistakes, and don't count yourself as a failure when you do make those mistakes, because you're not, and everybody does. I mean, I've been sitting on things that I've had for almost 2 years now, and it's okay. Eventually things will sell, but you're going to make mistakes and you're going to fail, and that's okay. Number 6, follow trends. So I kind of go by a trend style brand whenever I'm searching for things and what works for me. And you can try this for yourself, but once again, caution, take everything, moderation and everything. Like, listen to YouTubers like myself, and try to apply some of that, but then also go on your own gut, because nobody out there is going to do what you can do, and nobody's going to bring what you can bring. So with that, follow trends, but it's a mix of style and brands. So like follow, I like to get on like Vogue or any of those magazine websites, or just go to Google and type up Spring 2020 trends, and you can see what's going to be up. Next month is Fashion Week, and that will let you know what's going to be happening in the fall. But for spring, just start doing some research, see what's in the know. I mean, see what's hot and trending right now. Like, in relation to what's trending, look at the brand. So the way that I look when I'm sourcing is something to catch my eye. So if I'm sourcing and I'm looking through and something looks really cute, the thing is, if it's going to photograph well, it will make people pause. People will stop and they will want to pause and look at that thing. Now, if it's a piece by, like, say, Forever 21, I'm probably going to pass on it, because I have one Forever 21 thing that's super cute that's in my closet that has just been sitting and sitting and sitting and sitting and sitting. I mean, people can buy it in the first place for very, very cheap. They're probably not going to buy it from you and pay shipping and pay tax and wait a few days. So it's all about brand plus style. Now, there are some brands that are very expensive that you would think would have a really high resale, but the style just may not be there. It may be a little outdated, or it just may not be as in high demand. Sometimes I will pass on like an all black piece. I love black. I wear a ton of black. Being in fashion show production and working on photo shoots, you always have to wear all black. So my closet is tons of black, and I try to find fun, interesting cuts with black, but it just doesn't photograph well, and you can't always, capture those interesting details. So it's kind of a balance of both style and brand, and just kind of researching what's in. and kind of trying to figure out the balance of both. Number 7, tell people what you do. In the beginning, because I did work in high fashion, I was almost, I don't know why, but just a little ashamed of doing something like this, which is silly. But once I kind of let go of that and have kind of embraced that, people really don't care. So I work with a bunch of stylists, and I have one in particular who's a very dear friend of mine who lives in New York and is very high fashion stylist, personal shopper. She does TV, movies, things like that. Well, once she heard that I do that, she now sends me boxes, and she has very nice stuff. She has clients who have very nice stuff, and she's passing my name along to them. And if something is of high enough value, I will more than happily split 50-50 the proceeds from that sale. So, and then I have other friends that have just been like, they really don't want to go through the process of taking something and donating it or whatever. So I will just come pick up bags and I'll go through it. I'll keep what I think will sell, and then I'll donate the rest for them. So just tell people what you do. Number 8, stay consistent. Sometimes when you are having those really bad weeks, I just had a horrible week last week. Terrible. Like, if not my worst, well, it was my second worst, I think, because my one worst was a week that I sold one thing. This is not that far behind. But terrible week. Just consistently keep doing what you're doing. The algorithms will reward you for it. Everybody has off days. Everybody has off weeks. But just stay consistent. Keep listing, keep sharing, just stay in there and keep with it, and it will pay off, and you will continue to, or you will see those sales, but you have to stay consistent, because they're like this week, man, I don't even talk about it. Last week was so terrible. And then I've also had a kid with the flu at home, and it has been rough trying to stay consistent. But I'm starting this week, things are starting to pick back up a little bit. So just stay consistent even when you feel like you're not. Number 9, plan. Plan for your week. Set up some sort of organization for yourself that will help you succeed and reach these goals. It's really hard. This is kind of a tough industry to get into. When you have a normal 9 to 5, it's easy. You go in, you have a start time, you have an end time. At this time you're going to have a meeting. At this time you're going, this is when you've got to do whatever it is you have to do. Things are very set already, but even within that, people have, they still have to plan their day to get things accomplished. You are working at home for the most part, for the majority, especially at the beginning. Eventually, maybe you'll, get, succeed so well to get into an office or your own space. But in the beginning, you're working outside of your house, and it's really, really hard unless you have a plan in place. This time to this time, every morning I sit down with my planner and I start the day. From this time to this time I'm doing this. This time to this time I'm doing this. Now things happen. Life is going to happen. I have a kid sick with the flu at home. A lot of the things that I had planned are not exactly going to happen the way that I planned them. That's life. It happens. But if you try to put something, just stay organized. And then my final tip, number 10, is take care of yourself. And I cannot stress this more. This is a very lonely industry. You are working by yourself. It's very easy on those off weeks to get depressed. You do not have a boss telling you what a good job you are doing. You do not have fellow peers working alongside you to share in the struggles. What you do is determines how successful you are, and when you have a terrible week or a terrible month, you can get super, super down. Take care of yourself, and by that I mean get on Facebook, get on Instagram, find some other resellers, and get into a community. This is an extremely encouraging group. I've worked in the industry for the past 20 years. It's not the most encouraging industry to work in. It's a little bit cold. which is fine. That's the way that it is. But it's been so wonderful working in an industry where people really do want you to succeed, because honestly, we really are stronger together. And it's fun to celebrate in those successes with each other. Also, when taking care of yourself, watch what you're eating and make sure you plan time in your day to work out. There's something that happens that first year when you start reselling, because it is so odd and you're not getting used to the schedule. For me, my very first year, which was, I've been doing this about 1.5 years, been on my first app for about 2 years now, but for, basically hitting it pretty hard for about 1.5 years. And last year was the first full calendar year that I was on it. And I let a lot of that stuff go to the wayside. I would be sourcing during the day when my kids at school, rushing, and then eating at whatever fast food place was outside of wherever I was sourcing just to eat something, not really watching, not really taking care of myself like I usually do. I was not working out. Working out has always been very important to me, and watching, just making sure I stay healthy. And that did not happen. I had a very busy end of the year last year, like I've said. We moved, tons of stuff, holidays, and I just got out of the rhythm. And so now I'm getting back into that. I've been happily working out this whole month, watching what I'm eating better, and taking better care of myself. Make your doctor's appointments, ladies. I know as the mom sometimes, it's hard to put yourself, I always make sure my kids get their dentist appointments, their doctor's appointments, all these things. And then a lot of times, I save myself for last. There was something called the burnt toast syndrome that I read about as mothers, where when you're making a breakfast for people, for your family, you generally take the burnt piece of toast. Everybody else gets the good toast, but you'll take the toast that's burnt. Every now and then, guys, take the good piece of toast. It's okay. Take that good piece of toast. You earn it. You deserve it. So take care of yourself. So those are my top 10 tips to help succeed in the industry as a reseller. Let me know what you thought. If you have any other tips that you want to give, there's tons of other advice and tons of other things that we could talk about, but those are the 10 that I've kind of wanted to focus on. Once again, you can find me at eBay, Poshmark, and Tradesy. Tradesy I'm building up. And you can find me at Her Common Thread. If you liked what you saw here today, give me a like, or a follow, or ring the bell. Tell me what you liked. Tell me what you didn't like. It's okay. I'm a big girl. I can take care of myself. And I will see you next time. Bye.